Oi, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back with Rugby 25, here to track the progress of early access. The last time we made one of these videos was back in early access 5, and that was a whole month ago. And today's update is early access 7, so we did skip 6. I read over the patch notes and it didn't really look like much was changed, so we decided to wait for something substantial to have a look at how they've implemented it in the game. And of course here to check how they're doing on the basics, like a biggie, the flow of the game, which has been a bit of a problem since day 1. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through everything that's new, and in the background I'll give you examples and break down how they work, and just give my general thoughts. First order of business is the added tutorials. We don't need to go through these, I already know how to play the game, and even if I did want to go through, I can't actually play them because they are pretty buggy for me, especially the goal kicking. Every time I tried the new place kicking tech, we'll say, my game would crash, so I'll give you examples on that when we play a match and score some tries here. But basically the tutorials, pretty self-explanatory, but it's the basics for almost all areas of the game. As you can see, they don't have the passing drills that they normally have in their previous rugby league games, which I do find odd because in this game there are several ways to pass. For those that are possibly new here, there are 3 ways to pass from the ruck. Your classic or standard one off the ruck type pass where you just press one button and it passes it to the closest player. A targeted pass where you hold said button and it gives you options binded to every face button on the controller. And something new, and that was a targeted pass specifically for forwards around the ruck, and instead of holding R1 or L1 you would hold a trigger or L2. So that's for the ruck, and obviously in general play you still have your standard classic pass to nearest player and hold to throw a cutout pass to a player of your choice. Also missing general play kicking tutorials, which is a shame because that's the biggest thing I'm having issues with at the moment. Not necessarily the kicks themselves, but actually having enough time to perform those kicks mid-game. So tutorials are in, that's nice to see. Functionality wise, I can't actually get in there and test them. So we'll move on to another added feature that I did get to try out, and that is the on-the-fly interchanges, or as they're actually called, quick interchanges. Now if you're familiar with Rugby League Live 4, it works just how it does on there, only in rugby there are way more players to manage, so you can't quite do them while you're in the middle of actually playing, like if you try to do it at the breakdown. So the optimal time to actually use this feature would be on the breaks between kicking off and kicking for goal. Functionality wise, it will feel seamless once you get used to it, and basically how it works is you press the share button to bring up the menu, and after that all you're using is the D-pad. You can select forwards or backs. In this instance I'm going to select the forward, and something that's an upgrade from Rugby League Live 4, here in the quick menu you can actually see their rating and how much gas they have in the tank. And from here you press up and down on the D-pad to navigate towards the player you will be pulling off the field. Press right to select them, the subs player list will pop up. Go down towards the player you want to bring on and you press right to confirm. It's that simple. Once you get used to it, you'll probably be able to do it during the breakdown and stuff like that, sneaking it in before the line out. It's actually a neat little feature for those that don't like pausing your game and sorting out your substitutes that way. Speaking of, you can actually do that in this game as well. The traditional pause and just head over to team management. Now I'm not sure if it's a bug or not, but for some reason at half time it didn't give me the option there. I'm sure that'll get added in at a later date. Moving on to another new addition to the game. It was honestly one of my most anticipated features, and that's tactics. Now admittedly I am a little disappointed as I thought set plays would be involved in tactics, but these are more so structures or setups. For defense, you press up on the D-pad to bring up the menu and you have 3 options. The first being rush defense, the second being balanced, and the third being kick defense. So something different in these 3 setups is the rush defense. Typically you'd have a compressed defense where everyone would play tighter, but for this rushed one, I guess it's in the name, right? They do rush up off the line faster, and I did notice that you can pull off some interceptions that way, which can be a little broken as there's no downside to actually selecting it. Maybe in the future they can tweak it and maybe add a higher chance of players being offside, because getting 3 interceptions like that is a little unbalanced. And on the flip side, in offense you can't really do anything to counter it, as you for 1 can't set your line depth yet, 2 closing the gap in defense is already fast enough as it is, so you could imagine the problems you'd run into playing against a real player. And real quick before we touch on some more of the tactics, you would have seen right there Tom Wright Land Flicky Tower, there's a few updated player models, which is nice to see. And there's a few other positives I do want to touch on after we talk about the rest of the tactics. And before we get to that, I did want to quickly show you that you can actually make multiple interchanges in real time. You get 30 seconds to make your conversion, and that's more than enough time. Basically, if you already have a plan heading into this with your bench rotation, you wouldn't really have to pause your game. And in the background, you also see that they tweaked how goal kicking works now. Before, all you had to do was hold Y or triangle. Now it's all about using the right analog stick. You pull down to power up and you push up to aim towards the posts. And just to close out the tactics chats, it's basically forward formations. Like the defensive ones, there's only 3 options. So you have wide, which is your classic 1-3-3-1, balanced 2-4-2, and the classic split 4-4. So activating this is pretty simple, and like these substitutions, they will feel smoother with time. Now we're going to talk about how they function, and I've got to be honest, I'm actually struggling to work around these shapes. And it's mainly because of the spacing issue that has been prevalent since day dot, and also the passing feels like it's regressed, especially from the previous updates where you could pass seamlessly between short distances. It feels like it was a couple of patches ago, and it's almost impossible to get some clean passes out behind defenders when trying to run plays out the back. As for the last few notes, they have improved gameplay, and it says gameplay has been polished/improved, including tweaking ruck steal timing and AI decision making. Now both of those, now the ruck steal timing is a plus, and it actually does work quite well. And the AI's decision making is pretty noticeable as well. Specifically when they get turnovers in their own 22, they tend to always try to clear it. They also string together some nice passes and offloads. It's not perfect, but it is improving. The only thing really letting the game down at this point is just the general gameplay, the flow of things, and it comes down to the passing. When you go from a general play, transitioning into the breakdown, the ruck and all of that, coming out of the lineouts, trying to form a maul, it's all feeling still a little bit too clunky for my liking. By the way, I am purposely playing slow, just trying to recognize these shapes, these new formations, trying to play around them, and as you can see, I did struggle quite a few times. And at times we were able to work the ball down the line. So yeah, it's a bit hit and miss so far, the gameplay and just the general feel. Like I said, I feel like the passes have taken a step backwards. I would like to see them add in some flat cutout passes and make them work similar to the elite games. All you have to do is hold the primary pass button down, and instead of tapping X, circle or square, you would double tap it to make them throw it flat, and also get the receiver running onto it. I do want to close it out on a positive. I do like the addition of the quick interchange and how it works. The UI for it is clean. I like the changes to the goal kicking, and I like how punishing it can be when you stuff it up. And I have noticed plenty of new animations and plenty of cutscenes you would have seen throughout this video. If you're unaware, the cutscene going into a lineout, where sometimes you have a forward chatting up the ref, and after you've kicked the conversion, they show the kicker, then you get another close-up of the actual try scorer, which is neat. Presentation is pretty much where it needs to be. I've also noticed different tackle break animations. Not sure if it's new, but we'll say different. I'd like to see these more than the old Rugby League animations that seem to pop up here and there. And I've also noticed some tackling animations, gang tackles that have defenders dropping off. Little things I'm noticing here and there that weren't there in Early Access 1. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me. Early Access 7 was a little hit and miss. I do see the vision long term though, and I can't wait for the next major updates. Early Access 8, and hopefully soon we get a little roadmap of what's to come. I'm keen to see some Southern Hemisphere teams, fingers crossed, but until then, we are going to call it there. As always, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit that like button, and for more rugby related content or more content in general, go ahead and drop your boy a cheeky sub. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you later.